G'day legends, we're going to take a look at the Lauten Audio Tom microphone. I'm going to show you what it sounds like fully processed in a mix, how it sounds raw, how it sounds stacked up against another renowned Tom microphone, as well as show you some examples of what all the different filters sound like on this microphone. So let's get into it. So what you heard just then was the Lauten Audio Tom microphone. There was no Tom samples in that mix at all. That is just directly from the microphone. I didn't use any of the high pass or low pass filters on the microphone. I just kept it wide open to capture the full sound. So for me personally, I've been really impressed with this microphone. Not just the build quality, because when you hold this mic, it feels quality. It's got a nice weight to it. Everything looks sturdy as. You've got a really good latching system here. I'm not sure if you can really make that out, but little lever that allows you to tighten the mic, lock it in position, and it doesn't slip. As well as this little screw at the bottom, you can undo that and swivel this to get it into the perfect position. So one of the really great things about this microphone is it offers up to 28 dBs of off-axis rejection. So pretty much from the back of the microphone, it rejects around 28 dBs, which, as I'm going to show you in a couple of these examples, makes a massive difference. So another really cool feature of the mic is it has a couple of options for high pass and low pass filters. So on this side, you've got a low pass filter of 12K and 5K, so you can get rid of some extra cymbal bleed if you want, or if you just want to make the tom sound a little bit warmer. And then on this side, we've got some high pass filtering. So we've got 80 Hertz and 140 Hertz. So you can roll off a little bit of the low end and make it a little bit tighter or a little bit thinner sounding. So it's just nice to have those options while you're tracking. So let's jump into Logic and have a look at some audio examples here. So those toms sound awesome to me. Let's have a listen to what they sound like soloed with all the processing on. So these are only two plugins on the Tom mics at the moment. We've got an SSL channel strip with a bell at around 9K, boosting in around 7 dBs, doing a small cut at around 535 Hertz, minus 3.5 dBs there. And then we're doing a small boost at around 100 Hertz with a bell around 2.5 dBs. A little bit of compression, and then we're using the expanded gate just to clean up a bit of the cymbal bleed and noise in between the hits. And then we're following it up with a limiter, which is doing anywhere between 3 to 6 dBs of gain reduction. So it's a really nice raw sound, really like warm and thick and very easy to EQ and get the sound that you want out of it. There's no kind of weird frequencies that are jumping out. It just sounds really balanced. And you can hear the cymbal bleed is actually pretty subdued already. And I'm going to show you an example of some Sennheiser MD421s and how much extra bleed is in those mics compared. Let's have a listen to this section here where I'm playing on the crash cymbal and then adding some tom rolls in. Let's have a listen to how much cymbal bleed we can hear. So you hear the cymbal bleed in the 421s is actually way more present, but it's also not a very nice sound either. It doesn't really sound very natural. So you can hear the bleed in the Lauten Tom mic is a lot quieter, but it's actually a lot more pleasant and nice sounding. It actually sounds really natural, where the MD421, even though this is such a popular tom mic, that bleed is just disgusting. Like, there's no other word for it. I've been using 421s for years, so I know how to mix them, I know how to clean them up, but they are a bit of work. They do sound good, but they take a lot of work to sound good in the mix because that bleed is just not very nice at all. Whereas the Lauten tom mic, it just sits in the mix perfectly without having to do anything to it, and it EQs so much nicer. So speaking of EQ, I'm gonna put the processing back on these mics now, but without the expanded gate. So we're gonna let all the bleed through, and we're gonna hear what it sounds like in the mix with the bleed included. So this is with that extra bit of high end boosted into it, so we're gonna get a bit more cymbal bleed now. The cymbal bleed in those 421s just has so much 4K, 5K presence. It just really sounds not nice at all. All right, let's hear it in the context of the mix now. So you can hear when you let the bleed flow through from those 421s, it sounds really obvious in the mix. You can really hear that nasty cymbal sound that's being added through the bleed. Whereas on the Lauten, as the bleed was being let through, it didn't really make it sound bad in any way. It's maybe a little too much cymbal, but it was still like a good cymbal sound. It wasn't like that 421 nasty frequency. Whereas you could hear with the Lauten tom mic, the bleed actually sounded really nice in the mix. You could actually get away with having it in there. You might not even need to gate your toms if you like the sound that that bleed's adding to the mix. The 421s, I could not ever have that bleed in there and be happy. It just sounds atrocious. So that's a really big game changer, I think. A lot of people use 421s in the studio like myself. It's just a well-renowned tom microphone that everyone uses. But I gotta be honest, the Lauten tom mics are pretty much gonna be dethroning the 421s, and they're not gonna be coming off the kit. These guys are gonna be sitting on the kit as the tom kings. So what about the filters? What do these filters sound like? Well, I've recorded a drum pattern. It sort of just loops over and over, and we change between the filters so you can really hear what they do to the drums. So check this out. So that probably wasn't the most exciting drum beat to hear over and over again, but hopefully it helped you hear what happens to the cymbals as we go through the low pass filters, as well as what happens to the low end of the toms as we apply the high pass filter. So some great options for tone shaping while you're tracking. So for me personally, I think these are going to be an amazing addition in the studio. I'm definitely happy to have them replace the Sennheiser 421s that I've had on the kit for years. I think these just sound so much better off the get-go, and they're so much easier to work with in the mix. And if you've been doing a bit of research trying to decide if the Lauten Audio Tom Mic is the right one for you, if this video has helped you come to a conclusion and you are gonna grab a Tom Mic or a couple of them, consider using my Sweetwater affiliate link in the description below. Anytime you use that link to buy a piece of gear over at Sweetwater, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but a small commission from the sale comes back to the channel. And that's just a great way of showing your support for the time that goes into making videos like this. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, let me know in the comments what you think of the Lauten Tom Mic. Do you think that it sounded better than the 421s? And don't forget, if you want to support this channel, you can also join the Patreon page, as well as heading over to my website. Picking up a sample pack or a mixing course helps support this channel, but also helps level up your skills and gives you some awesome samples to use in your mixes. If you thought the Lauten Tom Mic was cool, then stick around for this next video where we're going to check out the Lauten snare mic.